Hello mappers and welcome to another vanilla tutorial. A lot of people have asked me how I created those perfectly round buildings, like on my Pantheon map. So today I'm going to show you how I made them. First, take a 1x1 tarmac platform block and place it on grid. This gives us something to align all the blocks and items we are going to place. Next we are going to build a small structure which we will rotate later. Save it as a macro block. Then place the macro block on grid and switch to 3-block macro block mode. As you can see, we can now rotate our small buildings around the new pivot point we created using the tarmac block. As you can see, when we rotate it, the shape looks pointy and spiky instead of nicely round. To fix this, simply take the macro block and place it in the center of the tarmac block. Then delete the old macro block and place the new 1x1 tarmac platform blocks on the grid. Save this as new macro block and now you are able to create a perfectly round shape. An important thing to note is that the pivot point of a macro block will always be the most southeastern point of your build. I like to orientate myself using the position of the sun and keep it to the southeast of my view. That way I know I'm facing the correct direction. After that you can delete all the 1x1 tarmac platform blocks and save your round structure as a macro block. For the roof, I like to place some deco wall blocks as guides. Then you can use any blocks you like, such as plastic walls, rocks, pipes or even podiums, to build part of the roof. Make sure you keep all the newly placed blocks centered on the tarmac platform blocks we are using to define the pivot angle. Once you are done, save it as a new macro block. Then place your first roof part macro block on the grid and rotate it in a 3-block macro block mode until you complete a full circle. As you can see, it aligns perfectly with the small buildings we created earlier. We can use the same concept for smaller builds as well. For example, we have this mushroom by tag. If for some reason you don't like the top of the mushroom and want to change it, I'll show you how to create your own custom head. First we need to measure the radius so we know how far we can build on our 1x1 tarmac platform block. Then place the 1x1 tarmac block on grid again and start choosing your material to build the mushroom head. Make sure your blocks are centered properly. When saving it as a macro block, pay close attention while selecting your build. Ensure that the pivot point remains the most southeast point and that nothing extends further south beyond that point. Now, simply take your macro block, place it on grid and rotate it again in 3-block macro block mode to form a full circle. If you now take the mushroom stem from the original mushroom and place it underneath your new head, you'll see it fits perfectly.